Now, despite Dragon beating Alice this weekend, shares of DreamWorks, they are falling today as the company's second 3D movie offering failed to attract as many moviegoers as anticipated. Our next guest predicted that anything below a $55 million opening weekend would be a negative for investors in the stock. He was right. Here with us now to talk more about that is Barton Crockett, a senior media analyst at Lazard Capital Markets. Barton, great to have you with us.
Great, thank you, Carol.
So the opening for Dragon, just not enough. 43 million, still not, it just wasn't enough.
Well, yeah, the problem is that last year their first 3D movie did about 27% more opening weekend. And, you know, that movie, I think we all thought that this movie had much better reviews, much better audience reaction, seemed like a more promising story. We thought it would do a lot better on the opening weekend. You started to get a sense that things weren't really working, really coming into Friday. Some of the tracking data seemed a bit light.
Right.
And, you know, it played out over the weekend.
What do you think happened? I mean, they spent a lot marketing this, didn't they?
Yeah, I think the marketing didn't quite click. You know, with movies, I think it's two things. One is how good is the movie, and two is how well is it marketed.
Right.
And I don't know that people really notice this movie as much as you'd like.
I don't remember seeing much marketing, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, they made a big push in the Winter Olympics. I'm not sure it was as memorable as you'd like.
Right.
But that said, it's a very good movie. I mean, they have better critical reviews for this than they've ever had, you know, for any movie since really the first couple of Shreks. And the audience scores were very high. I mean, people like this movie. So I think there's a good chance we'll see good word of mouth, and it'll hang on longer than you'd normally expect.
Right.
So I don't think the story's over yet for Dragon.
But Barton, you and I were talking before we went on in this segment. You said it was about 160 million to make and about 160 million to market. So they've got a lot of ground to make up here.
Yeah, I mean, that's a normal kind of cost structure for a DreamWorks movie. And, you know, I think for this movie to make money, we want to see domestic box office come in close to 200 million, and we want to see international box office do, you know, 1.3, 1.4 times that. You know, if it does that, they'll make a very nice profit on this movie.
Well, is it too early to say whether or not it's going to do that, or no, based on the open?
It's too early with this movie. Normally you'd say it's not going to make it, but this movie has such good word-of-mouth potential that I think it'll hang on pretty well.
Got a holiday weekend coming up, too, and there's going to be a lot of families around.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Hey, you know, what's interesting is Jeffrey Katzenberg, who runs DreamWorks, he has basically said every movie going forward is going to be 3D. Is that a smart strategy based on what you're seeing, kind of the 3D environment?
Yeah, absolutely. For what they do, animated movies for kids, those are the big movies in that genre right now. That's what audiences want. And these guys do a great job of it. I mean, they're really focused on it from the beginning.
Right.
And they're pretty much in a league with maybe one or two other studios in their ability to do a big budget, spectacle 3D movie that people want to see.
What about, speaking of 3D and spectacle, Avatar?
Right.
740 million is, I think, the latest number I saw on it. I mean, are they the standard, or is that the anomaly in terms of 3D?
Well, it's certainly no, you're not going to see many avatars. I mean, you know, if it was, you know, we should all do something different, because that's pretty unreal. But you know, what I think Avatar did is really, you know, expanded people's view of what 3D can mean and what it can do for the movies.
Right. Do you think it's here to stay? I mean, you know, we've kind of been making jokes. You go back to the 50s and everybody with their glasses, and we're seeing, you know, similar shots that remind us so much of the 1950s. Is it here to stay in your view?
I think it's here to stay, because I think when people see something they haven't seen before, and if it looks good, it's hard to go back. So I think 3D is like HD was. You know, once you've got it, you don't want to give it up.
That's interesting. What about the shortage of screens? I mean, that's still out there. I think we heard from the Viacom CEO, Philippe Dumont, and he's saying that 3D theaters will continue a shortage for about another 18 months. So we're still behind, correct?
Yeah, I think that you could pick up his timetable by about, you know, 6 to 9 months. I think there's rapid buildup of screens as we speak. And you just got financing done a couple of weeks ago for the big 3 chains.
So it's happening. It's ramping up.
Yeah. It's not going to be an issue, I think, in a year or less.
What about Clash of the Titans? It's also another 3D movie. It opens, I believe, this weekend.
Right.
What are your expectations for this one? This is what, coming from Warner Brothers?
Yeah, it's coming from Warner Brothers. You know, I'm modeling probably a number I think they'll beat. I'm modeling it'll be about 43 million. The talk is it could do 70 million. It's got good word of mouth. Okay. And you know, it looks like it has potential. So
43 could be 70. What's the number you want to see it hit for you to say it's a success?
Well, you know, anything north of 43 would be good. I mean, it's not meaningful for, you know, Time Warner, you know, but I think for the box office, anything above 43 I think would bode well.
I got 5 seconds. You like 3D?
I love 3D.
You love it?
Yeah, I love it.
Okay, that's pretty cool. All right, we're going to leave it there. Barton, thank you so much.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Barton Crockett from Lazard Capital Markets.